we are pleased to welcome Bob Sykora and Zuggie Tate to the reading. After both poetries, we'll offer a joint Q&A session. Everyone, meaning me, and whoever else joins in the future, should jot down their questions during the reading so you don't forget. We also encourage you to comment your favorite lines and reflections throughout the reading in the chat. It's a great way to celebrate these poets' work. First up, we have Bob Sykora. Bob Sykora is the author of the poetry collection Utopians in Love, Game Over Books 2025. In the chapbook, I was talking about love. You were talking about geography. Nostrovia 2016. He lives in Kansas City where he teaches community college, edits for the Garden Party Collective, co-hosts the Line Break podcast, and curates the KC Poetry Calendar. That's what's up. He can be found at bobsykora.com. I'm going to drop everything in the chat. Bob Sykora, feel free to go when you're ready.
Thank you so much. Really delighted to be doing this. What a nice way to spend a Sunday evening. Like nothing else on the agenda. We're gonna read some poems. I'll probably be tired afterwards, and we'll wind down. I'm gonna be reading some poems from my new book, Utopians in Love. It came out on Game Over Books last March. And we're on the the downward slope where it's been out for a little bit, but I'm still excited about these poems and to share them. And let's do it. Utopians in Love. The Utopians are in love. They've charted out the whole next century. They bought these cute matching uniforms, started peeling the skin off all our social norms. The Utopians are in love. They grind their bodies against the floor, pray in new tongues. They sparkle in their underwear as they wave gravely at the sunsets in their basement. The Utopians are in love. They are constantly fucking, or some of them never ever fucking. They decipher the same ancient phrases for their own purpose, pollute the country with idealism. They craft a new life from the words of crazed pastors who keep getting run out of town. The Utopians are in love and they can't get enough. They don't tire of barking across the city, gunking up the country's gears, dumping ideas for new ideas, always changing, always 30 different colors at once, never just fairies or starflowers, but so many different types of perfection. The Utopians are in love, busy writing and rewriting constitutions. They just love writing constitutions so much. They're men and women, sometimes just a few, but always everyone, eventually. The Utopians are charged, positive. The change is coming. The seas will turn to lemonade, sweep you up. Everyone will speak in blank verse, and everyone will join. I'm going to jump to the beginning of this. The very first poem in the collection, I started writing this book like 10 years ago when I was in grad school. And I was living in Boston, and you're going to hear a little bit about how I feel about living in Boston. And I was taking this class that had us in the rare books room of the Boston Public Library, and I don't even remember what we were studying anymore. But the rare books room in the Boston Public Library at the time had not digitized their collection, so I had to go like the old school card catalog and like look for this stuff for the research for the class. And I came across this card that said Brook Farm, American Utopia, and just like the two words together, America Utopia. I don't know if you remember the spring of 2016. It felt really dire at the time. Things are significantly worse now. It's like really upsetting to have this kind of on my mind of like, oh, last 10 years, things have gotten so much worse. But like those two words next to each other didn't make any sense to me. So I went down this rabbit hole and ended up doing a bunch of research that led to this book. And this poem is, I give all this preface because the poem's going to introduce all this stuff. There's some historical figures that I'm going to reference. You don't need to know anything about them. I tell you everything you need to know. And it's a little bit of a longer one as a warning. But this is the poem. It's called The Sky Doesn't Have Any Answers. In Vermont, the trees can barely stand the end of winter. All their petrified leaves lie on the ground, eyeing up at almost broken branches, who will follow soon and pound the earth with the heft of their passing. In the dead grass, I wait for the entire sky to fall down and meet me, a blanket of blue, or black with so many freckles. I wait for the crushing infinite nothing to hug me to death. I'm sorry if I sound morose, but I can't seem to put my life back in order. I'm looking for structure in the fringes of history books, stories not so much forgotten as deemed unimportant. I picture the utopian Charles Fourier, growing gray as he constructed a perfect society. Imagine people in perfect harmony. How did he dream up such grand community when he died alone with so many cats? How long before they found the body? Was it blistered or rotten? Did the cats get hungry? Was he furious to find the polar ice caps never melted into lemonade? His perfect new world never came to be, tossing furniture, thrashing the apartment until he fell limp on the floor. Licks, slowly turning into nibbles. Fourier found utopia in equations, a perfect set of measurements he mostly obscured in his writing, but real people put his ideas into practice, tried building the communes of his dreams. But all the Fourier's experiments would droop into dysfunction. The geometry of perfection was never quite right. How do you pick up the pieces after utopia fails? Where do you go? Josiah Warren turned to anarchy, tried exchanging goods for time instead of money. Charles J. Guiteau assassinated President Garfield after he was kicked out of his community. Muddy potholes I don't know how to handle. Pull my car over on the road home. The mechanic chuckles, points me to a place to spend the night on the cheap. The hotel room sweats. And on the TV, they're chasing utopia. It's on HGTV again, CNN, the evening news. Every channel tries to figure out what's wrong, how to patch up all the holes in our homes, in our country, in these damn muddy roads. The ceiling pants all night. New England drools humid as I close my eyes and dream myself right back onto the roof of your apartment. When Utopia was sharing shandies with you, while a red July sky set herself behind grumpy old Boston, you laid down a sheet, and I knew, for the first time I really knew I loved you, as we shouted, "Fuck Boston," over and over at the early moon. Utopia was closest to me then when it was nowhere near my mind. The two of us skipping dinner. We talked so late, we almost fell asleep up there. The starless sky groaning. Let's do it again tomorrow and the next day. And maybe Charles Fourier felt the same way, drunk on ideas, like I felt drunk on possibility. Maybe utopia can't last because the sky won't sit still, and we're always tumbling through the big freckled nothing so bright in Vermont, barely there in the city. I wake up to an anonymous room, blankets kicked off a damp bed, so little sleep, and so much time has passed. And utopia is nowhere to be found. But the car is fixed, the road is calling, and up above, nothing but clouds, big and gray and lumpy with questions, barreling on ahead as far as I can see. Thank you. Um, what did I say I was gonna read next? Oh, there we go. Um, whew, I thought I was gonna slow it down for a second, but I think we're just gonna keep rolling with it. Um, if I can find what I'm looking for, I guess it's on my document. That exhausted me in a good way. Thank you, anyone who's here. Again, thanks to the Poets and Pajamas organizers. Sundress is an organization or press I've admired for a long time and like followed this reading series for a while. I was like really excited when my book was coming out to like jump on. And then I saw the number was like 186 for tonight, which seems crazy. Like this has been going on. So I'm grateful to be a part of it. And I'm excited to hear Zuggie read. And this is called Crying on the Exercise Bike While Watching the Great British Bake Off. It's 2 in the afternoon, and I love you. It's true. It's 2 in the afternoon, and the entire room is blurry with sunlight, with fresh tears. The cake turned out poorly. Someone is going home. The layers crumbled. I love you, and all your layers crumbling, overcooked. I pedal faster and get nowhere, crumbling, overcooked, crying. I don't know why I'm crying. You're crying because you lost, because you're going home, because next week your baking won't be judged, because the cake was perfect when you practiced, because I pedal faster. I am no closer to you. My body is soft, full of cake. I ride my exercise bike because I hate my body. I watch reality TV because I hate working out. There's no cake in the evening. I love you, even when there's no cake after the long day, crumbling, overcooked. My body is blurry. At 2 in the afternoon, I pedal faster. I pedal nowhere. I don't know why I'm crying, overcooked, pedal, blurry day. My body was perfect when I practiced. I pedal faster. My cake is blurry. The sun fills the room crumbled. There's no cake in the evening after the long day. My body pedals faster. The day is further away. It's 2 in the afternoon. I don't know why I'm crying. You are not coming home. Um, okay, I think I got time to do this. I got a couple more, one longer one. I don't know why I felt like reading this one. It's a quicker one, that was just on my mind recently. It's towards the beginning of the book. It's called I Have My First Vision in the Middle of the Night. A few more hours. The longest night since the last longest night. Eyes faint as feathers, but a stirring. I replace one obsession with another. In this room made for falling, where I carved new ways I fucked up, into the trees of that summer, an entire ballet of memories to mutilate. I tried turning my thoughts to history, not love. Imagine a country without fences where hearts could be replaced by marching out to the woods, marching on and on in no marching on in no particular direction where and when a country could still be invented or uninvented. My heart won't be held down by history. It doesn't care for war stories. I want to look in the mirror and see myself as I was, as what I could be. As if love hadn't led me here, so awake, with all this time to hold and nowhere to put it. Um, and then I'm gonna read a longer poem from towards the end of the book. Um, and it has like 5 or 6 sections. I kind of always forget. But one of the things that's been fun about reading the book in different places, and including tonight, is that I've like tried to like remix it and like do it in different ways, so everyone gets a slightly different version. I'm offering one version to you all tonight. This is called Various Other Utopias. This right here, this is the utopia where there are no people. There are only cats. All calamity of fur and cuteness. We're climbing towers made of carpet. We're licking each other clean. We're taking naps in the sunroom all afternoon, drinking milk, knocking over houseplants. We're sashaying away, not looking over our shoulders. There's no need for the old oops. Did I do that? Because everyone else is also a cat and they're all too busy huffing away at snacks or asleep again. I swear we're always sleeping. We're all too busy with dreams to get swept away in some nonsense like love, like history, like utopia, like yada, yada, yada. Have you ever slept right up against the window? The sun hot on your ass, like the whole damn universe was intent on you feeling safe and comfortable and warm. I tell you, one time I was thinking about the future right there on the window pane. But then the sun got all just right on my ass. Like sleeping inside a toaster oven. Like being little spooned the whole galaxy. Like I can't even explain it. But that, for me, was enough. But this is the utopia where online job applications do not require you to fill in tiny boxes with the exact same information you included on the PDF resume you already submitted. Of course, this is hardly a utopia because the tyranny of labor under capitalism exists just the same as it does in our own contemporary condition. Still, everything in this utopia is just a tiny bit better because we've been freed from those tedious moments, grinding our teeth, feverishly retyping the same information about our boring lives in the blinking tiny boxes on the screens we rely on for both labor and leisure. Everyone has saved a number of hours of their lives. Some have even found entire new days of freedom, not having to retype their resumes into tiny boxes. And therefore, their utopias, like everything else here, are just a little bit better than the ones you and I can dream. They imagine so much cooperation. 4-day work weeks, no jobs at all. And the people and the utopias of their dreams can dream even bigger, more impossible. And the people in those utopias can dream so far removed from what you or I could imagine, it would break our brains if they were described to us right now. But these people here, not retyping their resumes into tiny boxes, are mostly content not to dream because their world is good enough, or good as it ever will be. Considering what history presented them with, even here they feel sometimes simply helpless to make any real change. But this, if I didn't lose my spot, this is the utopia where I kissed you. On that pier on the lake in the dark, what's a pier even for, if not for kissing? Would this all be different? If we had kissed, would we wake up new? The headlines all celebrate the end of our calamity. They're serving victory blueberries on every street corner. The mouths and hands of every child are blue. All our attempts to topple the assholes up top failed. But they fell over anyway, and it rained money for days. But we didn't need money anymore. There were just so many blueberries. And when we kiss, we'd share all our blues. And when we held hands or hugged or high-fived anyone, we passed it on. And in this great blue mess, somehow we all knew each other. Every hand, every smile was blue. Everyone must have hugged or kissed or held someone we knew. The sky, in comparison, was so soft and light and barely, but our hands, our faces, our teeth, stains in our clothes, the whole street smothered in a crushed, dark blue, the leftovers piled up on the corner. We're building mountains from the blue mush. We're shoveling it all in the back of pickup trucks, driving way, way out, dumping it into the lake. Dumping it into the lake where you and me, we sat and watched the busy waves and the growing blue glow of dragonflies hovering under a yellow moon, sinking slowly into the vanishing blue. We're way, way down at the bottom. All our leftover blues transform, where they begin to feed the algae, hungry as hell, renewed with an electric blue sparkling. So the water shimmers off and on, so alive, so powerful, the tides turn suddenly and crack as they smack against the pier. And it's all because I kissed you. On the pier on the lake in January when it was dark and cold and I was scared. And you could almost see the whole universe out there in the dark, nothing above the water. The whole universe was dark and cold and scared. And I kissed you anyway. Um, Thank you so much. I'm gonna wrap up with one more. I hope it's not too long because I'm probably like creeping up on my time. This is the only like Lucy newish poem. It's not very new anymore, but it's not in the book. But I'd like to end readings with this because anyone who came and showed up and offered your ears to me for any amount of time, you're a friend now. So this is a poem from my friend Michelle. It's called "Having a High Life with You." Having a high life with you sounds so good. Right about now, it seems impossible. Seems impossible like the clumsy pale moon, visible for some reason today at 3:30 in the afternoon. What are you doing up there? So early. brushing your cheek up against all that bright, flirting with a fragile, wispy veil of winter's faintest clouds like you and me, flirting with some crusty blue faces we'd pass, walking into the stalest Midwest bar at 3:30 on a Thursday afternoon in January. I can't imagine you and me in the Midwest, the same way I can't imagine us meeting halfway, because halfway is apparently Cleveland, where the afternoon bar crowd would offer us just as confused faces, just as confused as you'd be to see me stomping through snow up my neck on the way to your place in Jamaica Plains, somehow, your mouth agape, and the whole city of Boston would honk at me. All at once. I just want a cold one with my friend, but the entire city has been saving up one committed, angry, communal honk just for me and the clumsy way I keep leaving the people and places I love. I want the country to shrink, so you're never more than a few stops away on a train that's always late, but at least it's a train. With only a few stops between us, you'd text asking where I am because the world is ending again. Boston is so dramatic like that. The world is always ending. The cars are always honking. The blue faces at the bar don't understand why we're there. And you can tell me the world is ending, but when I'm next to you at the poetry reading that's happening on Zoom, you sigh, the most remarkable sigh. You don't even notice how everyone else in the room notices. I can't believe someone would let out such a noise, like your insides were fully unraveling as the words slid down into your gut. That noise isn't coming from someone fully convinced the world is ending. Hell, I would trudge through half of Boston. When the train is on fire again, I'd walk up and down the river through heaps and heaps of swan shit just to sit next to you, or have a beer, or complain about the world's end. Even if the moon didn't show up quite so early, I'll pay for the beers if you walk back down to the river with me, or look at used books in the basement. We'll yell at the water on the way. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. That was incredible, Bob. No, purr. Like genuinely, it was great. You are an amazing reader. I feel so blessed to have you here. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's compose ourselves a little bit because I got a little job to do. I have to introduce our next amazing reader. For everyone, we're gonna have a Q&A at the end, which is gonna be great. But until then, we have Zuggie Tate. Zuggie Tate, she, her, is a poet and spoken word artist from Cleveland, Ohio. Her work has appeared in Black Midwest Anthology, Wasteland Review, Exposed Bone Lit Mag, Shade Literary Arts, and Verum Literary Press. Zuggie is the most talented 2025 Cleveland Arts Prize Verge Fellow for Literature and the 2025 Lambda Literary Fellow and a Literary Cleveland Amplify Fellow. I know that's right. Zuggie, take it away whenever you're ready.
Hey, so just to start, these pieces uh are coming from a manuscript I'm working on called Abomination Pink. And for the sake of context, I thought it was just for framing the poems that you're gonna hear. I was gonna read the book description. I didn't provide that, but I was just gonna read it really quick just to get started. And then we could go from there. Because I think it's important to I think to just understand the connecting thread. So it's like you get to read the back of the book right now. Sorry. Okay. Oh wait, no. Okay, here we go. So more than just a color, Abomination Pink is my exploration into the uncomfortable, raw self-reflections a Black trans woman must consume when faced with a world she can only perceive as hating her. A landscape shrouded by the invisible hand of patriarchy, sisters at sisters' throats, in a vicious death ritual with no winners. From poem to poem, Abomination Pink as a concept because it becomes an interpretive lens through which we face the ugly truths and beautiful disasters that happen when you give birth to and mother yourself. The personal journey of looking through the deforming mirror of the person, the world, my mother, my father wanted me to be, to find an undeniable, unshakable truth that even though I have been called many abominable, horrific things, I am not the monster in this story. So to start off, this is actually the poem I'm thinking about starting the collection with. It's one of my favorite pieces I've ever written because it's such a deep cut for me. Like, so I grew up in the Pentecostal church, specifically the Church of God in Christ. And this piece actually includes an excerpt from a sermon that was performed in 1982 within the Kojic Church. So this piece is called Black Men Are in Short Supply, or Why I Can't Stand to See Another Sissy Again. And italicized excerpts are from Evangelist Francis Kelly's 1982 Kojic Holy Convocation sermon. She stands in front of a congregation of honored women, evangelists, missionaries, first ladies, church mothers, church sisters, knows her audience well, aware of the sea of tears that sits in front of her. All women, all denied the Bible's promise of what white women have, all fearful, nervous, discouraged, dejected, hopeless, unhappy, and in need of help. She speaks, and a waterfall pours out of her mouth. Paints a river that winds through the hood, flows past swelling jailhouse, flows past a swelling jailhouse, rapids by violent crimes, runs right past the vicious street corner. She begins to speak, and the only thing that can fall out of her mouth is, I get so sick of sissies, I don't know what to do. The women begin to wail and rattle the building. A cord has been plucked. She readies a cross for all these men she can't have and pleads with the Lord. God help us. God save us and raise us up some men. These girls need some men. We need some real men, some whole men, some masculine men, some hairy chested men, some baby I love you men. We need some men. Oh, she preaching now. Her flock of unmet needs watches as she prepares the sacrifice, a nagging reminder that some are alone, reflection of who they are, portrait of what they aren't, fear that the devil has stolen something God's not going to give back. The crucifix is ready now. Sissy has been nailed down and erected in front of this church, pierced and bloody. She seals the ritual with the final invocation. Wait on the Lord. Wait on God to give us one. Wait on the Lord. He knows what we need. My mother looks away from me and says, Amen. So then, so one of the things, okay, so one of the things I really want to do in this piece, I want to do like a short piece, because one thing that I really love is form, and I love form because I love finding myself in it. So I was tasked. I was in this workshop with the Harlem Bomb Shelter, and I was tasked with writing an acrostic that was blended within a theory. Which, for those who don't know, acrostic is, you pick a word and the letters of the first line of every the first letter of every line spells out a word, and then it's in a theory. So it's a 10 line, it's a 10 stanza poem. So you pick a 10 letter word, and so for that word, I chose contraband. So this poem is entitled Definition: A trans woman is cunt or bitch, not seen or thought as woman, red boy in red dress, abomination pink. Blue-faced child who struggles hard, aspires to breathe, hopes to make it, never allowed the role of princess, denied the grace to ever be allowed. Um, Next, so one of the things I like to do is be funny, cause and snarky, because I think sarcasm is an amazing tool. And so this piece is entitled Ancient Cisgendered Proverb, or I don't care if you're a he, she, they, or it. I am the it you speak of, and I'm brave enough to admit that. Bad enough a bitch to know when I'm being referred to. Bitch enough to acknowledge I'm bad to the bones, that it's in my DNA. I'm the unspeakable ugly you talking about. That which you avert your child's eyes from, lest they be inspired to be in it too. A creature, an abomination, twisted clown with a taste for children. I know exactly what y'all think of me. Believe me, a shapeshifter with an infectious bite, the scourge of the hood, sewer rat. And ain't that what I am? A being that survives no matter how much toxic shit gets flung at it. Ain't it funny? Y'all fear y'all children will see self-determined, but didn't I metamorph? Gradually transform once I heard that monarch caterpillars devour a thick, milky poison, a grub growing fat off noxious nectar filled with shame and ugly slurs, only to grow more beautiful because of it. Ain't I a butterfly, beautiful and hard to gender? Will hard to gender, I'll be your it. That's the pronoun of an I anyway, because it was golden, it was ancient, it was power, it was painted as a monster, it was still a god. And that's that piece. Um and so the next piece I'm going to do, so I also have this series because, as like I said, Abomination Pink is a color. And so I created a bunch of shades of pink. I created my own shades of pink. And so this first shade of pink that I created was called Wishful Pink. And actually this piece was published I believe in Wasteland Press. It's linked in my Instagram if you follow me on Instagram. But it's called Wishful Pink. I truly believe a brighter day waits just beyond the horizon. But it's nighttime right now. My feet can't carry me through the darkness. I am not fast enough to run and advance or call of a prowling man whose teeth sharpen, eyes wilding with the moon. This night is an antebellum south. My North Star is time. The distance between me and freedom feels like light years. Insurmountable amounts of space. It's hard for me to say this, but I rarely speak outside of my home. Barely open my mouth when hollered at, lest my voice become a Judas. My body a fearful disciple, everything in this moment betraying me to a death at the hands of these evil ass men in my heart. I know the breaking of a beautiful morning is racing towards me at the speed of light. I know that one day the world won't revolve against the orbits of my sisters and mine. I know there will come a time when we will take to the streets, dawning the brand new day. I can feel this, true as warming sunlight. You can't convince me otherwise. I just pray that I am not the last brick holding back this dam. Hope that I get to see the promised land and that I am not just the bones my sisters carry in with them. Thank you. Um So this next piece, I'm trying to keep track. So this piece, I'm really excited because this is a very old piece. But it's a piece I was really proud of, and it's gone through so many iterations, so many iterations. I think started writing this piece in 2017, but it just got picked up to be published. And so I'm so excited. So this piece is called Be All Right. Gospel pours out of the radio, serenades me in Be All Right, but I know everything ain't all nor ever been right. Breathing in fresh dew and warming air is warm in our car. The light of dawn crashing through rearview mirror into fresh eyes trying to catch another glimpse of sleep. We turn left into the church's parking lot, exchange hollow highs and hellos on a hollow ground with a false bottom gilded church. Bad people and me, a church kid, dragging tired feet through failing doors and a crackling floor to find myself a seat near the rear. I'm a thing unseen, evidenced only by a squeaking pew. The only eyes that were watching me were God's. I wasn't blessed with a pastor for a parent, never forced a mic or a ministry, never had a calling nor called on. The other children tithed in talent and good fortune. My only offering was smart, and smart only accompanied a mouth that said things it shouldn't. My words didn't know a child's place and often found their way into adult religion, told the truth, outing the devils around me, outing me each time. And so I learned the virtue of quiet thoughts and bitten tongue, tasted blood long before I tasted my first communion, spent many Sundays in a school that taught me stories of broken people, but a greater God. But that can't be great in a congregation held together loosely by more gossip than gospel, where a child's voice could fall to the wayside in a church smaller than a prayer. Um and okay, let me see. I'm not sure where I am on time. I think, let me see, I have okay, bet. All right, so this is a newer piece, and it's one that I'm really excited about. So because it's based off of like a nature fact. So if you don't know, there's this the cuckoo bird has a really interesting way that it raises its because it doesn't. It tricks a winged warbler into raising its child. You know, it hijacks the nest. And I thought, like, what animal would have like a trans experience? And I thought of that baby cuckoo bird growing up to realize that I'm not a winged warbler. And so this poem is based off of that. So this poem is called When I Think of Throwing Myself Off the Roof, or I'm Not My Mother's Type of Bird. Ever since emerging, I've been bird fed alive. My mother's warm warble never quite perched right in my ears, caught like a frantic cuckoo in a clock. Try as I might, never allowed her legato to settle into a song I could sing. Her winged melody always staccatoed out my body, trying to purge the poison of someone else's truth, someone else's story. My melody isn't as sweet. Her soprano, my voice could never reach, try as I might. How are you expected to learn the aria of an anatomy that isn't yours? The violence of trying to contort my wings into a flight not my own. Textbooks may call this dysphoria. I call it cracking. Some may say I'm suicidal. I say I'm obsessed instead with flying. Jumping headfirst into a daunting unknown. Oh, how haunting a thought of falling. Here my body is, standing on the edge of the nest. The chaos of rebirth has always come naturally to me, a nagging desire to defy the gravity of expectation. And if that makes me wicked, call me abomination. Call me black luster stained with green. I envy other birds. Their ability to live full lives, fall from a branch of a tree, and never know the fear of pecking or opinions whispering a prayer into the wind. I leap with no understanding of consequences, knowing that the brutality of crashing into the earth is so much better than crushing myself. Um okay, I think I have two more. So this next piece is called, I'm just gonna get to it. It's a published piece. It was published in Exposed Bone in their first edition. And it's called We Don't Talk. So that's the first line of the poem and the title. Excuse me. We don't talk about suicide in the hood. We praise the Lord. Scream and holler like we're trying to wake the dead. They must not have meant to do it. Acting like he just sleeping, pretending. She ain't choose to be there, and we listen to men preach about God's plans. Them, right there in that casket, had a plan, found their fastest way out when I was 14. My upstairs neighbor's son committed suicide. My mother say she heard the shot, heard the body drop, heard his spirit fly right by, like he was in a rush. Maybe he was still running. Maybe he had someplace better to be, had to get there faster than a bullet, faster than a ticking clock. I too have youthfully dreamed of this better place once. I thought about running faster than a passing thought once. I heard of a 12-year-old queer child. Heard his name was Nigel. The news reporters say he killed himself. Say his bullies made him do it. And they call this a tragedy. Call it an unfortunate act of God. And I remember thinking about this a lot. How lucky I was to have survived all this time. Thought myself blessed for not having been tempted away. However, now I run from another's hands. Worry some man will make me an early ghost. Send my spirit rushing wild to someplace better, whether he is draped in navy blue or sexual confusion. Either way, church folks will say, I deserved it. Or the devil made him do it. That my death will get covered up in hallelujahs and praise worship. And the preacher will say, God wanted this. And maybe he did. Maybe the man who kills me will be God, or at least treated like one. Whether him exonerated or my transness being blamed, in any case, I'll be the sinner. And maybe hell has a special place for me. Maybe that'll be the first time I ever feel warm. And that thought scares me to death. That dying could be the only heat I'll have in this life, whether I choose it or someone else chooses for me. What is suicide to a black trans girl if I'm always blamed for my own demise? What is existing if I'm always considered my own end in the hood? We don't talk about how life ain't always worth living. We simply try to live until it is, or until we can help to keep from dying. Praise the Lord. Thank you. Sorry, it's like sometimes I can read this poem and like it just takes me there. So I'm sorry, and that's why I'm so happy. It's a published piece. But yeah. And so, and then I want to end with this piece. This is another installment of the colors, the shades of pink. And so I thought this would be a good one to end with because it's very happy poem. And it also it's very gives me like very much like ego tripping Audre Lorde vibes. So I just and this actually was a fun piece too because it got picked up for me to like the art museum like wanted me to come and perform it. So I got to go like perform this in front of people. Um, but this poem is called Goddess Pink. I ooze my motherland, no matter how much I try to help it. I was named after a river song. Exhale tropical depressions. My laughing is a hurricane. Each chuckle has a name, each syllable a beat. Call me drum, my face is always painted, ready for a war. No matter how many times it's been beat, you gon' have to surrender to this rhythm. A heavy tapping follows me wherever I go. Each step I take aligns with the beat. My hips synchronize with a swing and a switch. My body is a walking ritual and leaks ancient magic. I could crack my knuckles, but ancestors would fall out. Whenever I speak, they always want a turn, so I've said things only a ghost would. Have spoken with the moon and grown fat off the sun. I am a comet. I'm a comet sauntering towards the event horizon. Jupiter's blessings personified. Neptune's wildest dreams. The instant a truth became real. Queen hyena laughing in the face of lying kings. Many hands have tried to subdue me, but I carry generations on my back. Arrow sharp. I've never met a jungle I couldn't tame into medicine, never met a rock I couldn't transform into water. I gave birth to I am my own mother because after 26 years of hard labor, I gave birth to myself in a thunderstorm, looking so much like my ancestors. I am the slut you hide your menfolk from, proud harlot, a mouth that loves saying things it shouldn't, defiance, strutting on two long legs, but most importantly, alive, despite all the best efforts to kill me.
Okay. Zuggy, thank you so much for sharing. Not only was it devastating, genuinely devastating at some points, but it was beautiful. It was tasteful and gorgeous and everything wrapped up into one. Thank
Uh-huh.
both of you guys so much for sharing because it means so much to me just to see the beauty of such amazing artists on this random Zoom call on a random Sunday. So, thank you guys so much. Um, wow. You almost had me crying there. That one line, my North Star is time. I'm quoting you. I'm like, yeah. And Miss Tate said, my North Star is time. And I'm gonna have that in my essays, like, yeah, a whole thing. Because that line's crazy. It went crazy. But I'm gonna ask some questions. We could treat it like a miniature little interview so people can get to know you guys. I think I'll start with Bob first because Bob has some of those lovely but also very heart-wrenching stories about love and heartbreak. And I think it's carried within all of us. And I personally have trouble talking about relationships in my work. I'm like, I don't really want to, I'm not getting into that. It's too much, too much. But I guess, Bob, long story short, how do you put into words both the beauty and the pain of what happens in relationships? How are you able to express that complexity?
Well, for one, um, can't relate, never had that problem of not wanting to go into that stuff. Um, but I think the thing that comes to my mind is I'm really grateful. I don't know if I have like a specific poet who's ever said this, but I feel like I've heard this conversation like from different people of like they has they had a teacher at some point in time who said like don't use the word love in your poems. And I'm like very, very grateful that no one ever said something like that to me. Because if you do the F3 search through my manuscript of like every time I say the word love, like it's ridiculous, you know? Um, I perhaps the most cop out answer, but I think like is I think true to a lot of writers' experience of like the stuff that does come out is like what has to. You know, like that's I don't know another way to write um than what I do. Like I do think I'm a much better poet than I was years ago, but also I'm like it's kind of the same stuff. You know, like I've kind of just been doing this for a long time and hopefully refining it. Um and I guess I would also add though with any topic, but like relationships like make so much sense of like it takes years to like really do the processing through writing. Like no I do not sit down and write like the breakup happened last week and I do the poem. You know, like it takes so long to like really get there for me. At least for me.
Okay, so time and talent is what I'm hearing. And I'll work on both. I'll be patient. Hopefully, I'll get there. Hopefully, we'll all get there.
We'll all get there.
The next one is for Zuggy. So, hmm, your identity has such a powerful impact on your work. And I know you get this question all the time, but oh, are you frozen? Uh-oh. Oh, I'm gonna ask the question anyways. If you can hear me. Um, I also want to know, Zuggy, how do you find yourself channeling these incredibly like big emotions into these precise, like intentional poems?
Oh, sorry, I was fighting a sneeze. Yeah, sorry. But the way I do it, I think honestly because I think these poems are me naming these emotions. I think like I have this problem sometimes where I'm trying to talk about something and I can only describe it with a poem because the poem is how I worked out how I felt about it. And so I feel like that's what you like you see me doing is like with these poems is like naming the emotion like what does this thing in my chest feel like what is this thing in my like what is it like I try like I always think about like and I tell this like when I teach is I think about you know painting the picture, like using my words to paint the picture I see in my head for my readers. Because I could just say it like, oh, a willow tree, but everybody has a different picture in their head of what a willow tree is. Like it might lean to the left, it might lean to the right, they might have a negative or a positive, all these different things. And so I try to like really just like really hone in on like, this is what I'm seeing in my head. Like this is how, and like I try to describe it in as vivid detail as I can. And so like and that's really what it is. It's like this is the me working it out of naming the emotion. Yeah.
That's incredible. There is some type of psychological aspect to the way that we kind of touch on our writing and get into our writing. I think as writers, we have to just, I mean, poets and writers, we gotta just kind of dive into those really deep, intense little things in our soul and then put them on the page. Difficult to do, but when it's done right, man, is it great. It's about to be eight. So one last question for both of you guys. I know Zuggy talked about this manuscript, which I'm ready to read, but do you guys have any projects, fellowships, residencies, anything that you like to share so that I can come look and then we all can come look and follow your journey as artists?
I'm gonna segue into that to say, Zuggy, I'd like to hear how far along the manuscript is because it feels pretty pretty incredible as is. And like I don't ever yeah, I also teach, and that's one of my big things with my students is like don't rush it. Like the book does not need to come out tomorrow. Like give it the time it needs, but sounds like it's in a pretty good place right now. So I'm curious where you're at with it. Um
Oh, so And because I'm in a weird space because I don't know how much I can say about it, but it's like, so I don't know if I say it's being considered for publication or if it's guaranteed, but
Sure.
it's in that kind of
Cool.
process. I don't want to
Yeah.
be like, oh, my book is coming out, and then it
Right.
might not happen, you know. So, but yeah, so it's in like it's in that space. But I have submitted a rough draft.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Okay.
hopefully it'll be coming
Yeah.
out. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah,
Fingers crossed.
Cool.
Okay, coming out soon.
yes.
Any working titles, or are you scared to share?
Oh well, no.
Oh, you have the working title. It
Yeah.
Abomination.
was the Abomination. True. Okay, yeah.
Abomination. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then Bob. Any
Uh,
dang it.
I am so, as I said, like on the come down from the book.
The
I
book.
traveled a lot with it this summer. I do not have a clear vision of the future and what's next. Uh,
Well, well listen. It's been a busy year for you because you
yeah,
had that chapbook and you had Utopians. So like Bob's
yeah,
been busy. Bob's been busy. It needs
I'm
a little
busy.
break, a little rest, which we all need. But Evelyn, if you could put in the chat Bob's book and the chat book links to those two, and Zuggie, Cleveland Arts. I'm gonna try to put the link into the chat as well. Thank you guys so much for coming. Let me read my little outro. Let me read my little outro because I guess what I gotta do. Okay. Thank you, Bob Sykora and Zuggie Tate, for reading with us today. Don't forget that you can check out their work by books in the link in the chat. If you'd like to learn about our upcoming Poets and Pajamas readings, we encourage you to follow us on social media. This reading has also been created courtesy of Sundress Academy for the Arts. Follow Sundress on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok because there's so much we offer and for free a lot of the time.